Welcome to FCA Compliance, the rules and regulations explored with MBL seminars. My name is Robert Bell and I'll be your tutor today, and I'll start by giving you a little bit of background about me. So I'm an author of A Practical Guide to the FCA's Consumer Duty, as well as Money Advice Trust Guidance on Vulnerability and GDPR. And I own RB Compliance Consultancy, and we provide consultancy to a range of financial services providers, retailers, and undertake training on behalf of trade associations as well. I'm a law graduate, qualified tutor, and former director of legal and compliance at a financial services provider. Our services focus on FCA regulation, as well as data protection and other key financial compliance requirements. And today we're going to look at the major FCA rules and regulations, which is precisely my area of expertise. This talk is going to be in 8 sections. The first being FCA statutory aims and powers under the Financial Services and Markets Act 2000, the consumer duty, the threshold conditions, before we then talk about meeting SM and CR requirements. We'll then cover being regulated, so looking at SUP, DEP, and how you might deal with enforcement action, before moving on to SISC, Senior Management Arrangement Systems and Controls, dispute resolution rules, and the principles for businesses. So let's get going. We're going to start by looking at the recent history of regulation in the sector. And up until the latter part of the 20th century, financial services was largely self-regulated. This was due in part to the degree of influence that some financial services firms and certainly financial markets of the City of London had, economically and politically. Basically, the city was able to mould its own regulatory culture. This continued into this century, and the Securities and Investments Board was set up in 1985 as a private company limited by a guarantee, which exercised delegated statutory powers. Its aim was essentially to prevent fraud and insider dealing. The SIB, as it's known, had the power to recognise investment institutions, and each sector within the jurisdiction of the SIB was essentially self-regulating, but of course they did report into the board.